Hello, everybody. This is Ryan Koki of the Seahawk Recap Show, and welcome to the 2023-2024 playoff recaps for this playoff wildcard weekend. And we finally made it. All wildcard games are now played, and this was the fifth game in this little saga, and it was a pretty interesting one. It happened last night, and let's talk about the Bills and the Steelers game. And this was actually a very entertaining game. It was pushed back a day because of the amount of snow that Buffalo got, but we finally got this game underway, and it was actually a very entertaining game. So, game summary. The Bills win at home 31-17 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's start off with the Buffalo Bills stats. They had 368 total yards, 189 passing yards, 179 rushing yards, averaged 5.6 yards per play, 24 first downs, went 5 for 12 on third down, went 1 for 1 on fourth down, had 66 total plays, 2 sacks allowed, 3 punts, 2 penalties for 24 yards given up. There were a couple of missed calls in this game, especially on the George Pickens slant, but that was really a formality at that point, basically, because it was already 31-17. But the Buffalo Bills had zero fumbles and zero interceptions thrown for 33 minutes and 19 seconds of possession time. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, they had 324 total yards, 218 yards passing, 106 yards rushing, 5.1 yards per play, 22 first downs, went 5 for 11 on third down, went 0 for 1 on fourth down, had 63 total plays, 1 sack allowed, 4 punts, 6 penalties for 50 yards given up, 1 fumble lost, and 1 interception thrown by Mason Rudolph. And they had 26 minutes and 41 seconds of possession time. For Ryan's focus players, let's talk about Josh Allen for a moment. Josh Allen really played like the superstar X factor, if you will, in this game. He really played great. 21 for 30, had 203 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Also, he had 8 carries, 74 yards, averaged 9.2 yards per carry, and had the 1 touchdown. That was a 50, I believe, a 54 yarder, in there. He went to go get a first down, I believe, in the first quarter, and he literally just ran it in for a touchdown. And with Josh Allen being the physical runner that he is, he rarely slides, man. He's usually going through contact. So all in all, great game from Josh Allen. And let's talk about the actual running back. It's James Cook, 18 carries, 79 yards, averaged 4.4 yards per carry and 0 touchdowns. But this guy also, he was part of this Bills offense that, really controlled the game, and that's why he has 18 carries. Just a nice little clock muncher, if you will. And it was really nice to see James Cook have a productive day. And we talk about another tight end, not a wide receiver this time. It's Dalton Kincaid, the rookie, and he had 3 receptions, 59 yards, averaged 19.7 yards per reception, and had the 1 touchdown. And also, Dawson Knox had a touchdown in this game. So that was a record in the first half, to have two separate tight ends catch touchdown passes in the postseason. I can't remember the year that was set, but I believe it was first in NFL history. But if I'm wrong, please let me know. And Dalton Kincaid, man, even with only 3 receptions, he had a really good game to help the Buffalo Bills win this game. And someone also that I think was underrated as we move on to the Steelers offense was Mason Rudolph. He didn't have a totally bad game. He went 22 for 39, had 229 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. This one was thrown to Kaiir Elam. And, with that 1 interception, yeah, it really sucks because that could have been, the Steelers' first points of the game, but there were a lot of other, like, factors, the two almost fumbles, one of them lost and the other one, got out of bounds before it was picked up by the Bills defense, but, for Mason Rudolph, he's a 3rd string QB, he was, leading you guys into the playoffs, and I think he had a decent game. Another guy that I think had a decent game against this Buffalo Bills defense was Jaylen Warren. 8 carries, 38 yards, averaged 4.8 yards per carry, and 0 touchdowns. His stats don't show it, but Najee Harris and him were trying to establish the run in a hostile, cold environment in Buffalo. And, if you ever go to Orchard Park, I'm guessing from my own experience, I haven't been there to Orchard Park, but just seeing how big football is in Buffalo with the Bills Mafia, it's probably not a very friendly environment when you're the away team. And considering that it had snowstormed 24 hours before the game to push the game back a day, um, doesn't help either. So decent game on the rush for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm actually talking about a wide receiver this time. It's Deontay Jackson, 4 receptions, 48 yards, averaged 12 yards per reception, and 1 touchdown. The first points scored of the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reason why I gave it to Deontay Johnson was he was really good. Like Pat Freiermuth had all the receptions, but Deontay Johnson is such a physical wide receiver that I just had to highlight him. Even if he had 4 receptions, he was still a good wide receiver for the Steelers, so, uh, can't fault him for at least, trying to win the game. And let's talk about the Bills' defense, and this Bills' defense, despite being injured to all hell and back, played a really good game, and I gave the D-line award to Gregory Rousseau in my focus players. 2 solo tackles, 2 assisted, and had 1 sack and no forced fumble. But, another honorable mention is Ed Oliver, who was, not getting really the stats you would expect, but on the stat sheet, but he was batting balls at the line. And this Bills team really shut down Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris in the run game. They were playing up to task, on the defensive front. And it's really nice to see Greg Rousseau really come into his own and play a very good game of football. And let's talk about the DBs. And I highlighted Kaiir Elam here because he had a really good game. 1 solo tackle, 4 assisted, 0 sacks, and the 1 interception that prevented the Pittsburgh Steelers from scoring their first points in the first half, or well, in the first quarter, anyways. And honestly, Kaiir Elam, I gave him the focus player because not only did he have a really good game, but he caused a penalty. I think it was either defensive holding or a pass interference call on Deontay Johnson the play before, and that really prevented Deontay Johnson from grabbing the ball, I believe. And he more than made up for it with his penalty call. They were going to score points, and then he goes, "Okay, I need to make up for the penalty that I made," and he picks off the ball, and that leads to a score for the Buffalo Bills. And honestly, this whole defense, especially on the DB front, I believe Tyron Johnson, number 7 on Buffalo, he forced the fumble along with a linebacker in I can only remember his last name, so I apologize. Benjamin, and he Benjamin got injured in this game, and but he recovered the fumble that wasn't a fumble um, by the Pat Freiermuth fumble. But it was a really nice game from these DBs in Buffalo. And let's talk about the linebacker, and it's AJ Keen, 7 solo tackles, 4 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. And I highlighted AJ here because looking at it, he was elevated from the practice squad for this game because of the amount of linebacker injuries that the Bills had this game. he was activated. He's 32. He was just activated from the practice squad along with Andy Isabella, and he made an immediate impact in the tackle department. Again, shutting down the run game, making breakup passes when he need to. It was really nice for that Bills defense. Well, let's talk about the Steelers defense on the other side, and let's talk about D lineman Cameron Hayward. Four solo tackles, two assisted, zero sacks, zero forced fumbles. And Cameron Hayward, just a guy that can run stop. Whenever you're needed to have a run stopping day, it's really looking at the old vet in Cameron Hayward. He's one of the best in the business when it comes to stopping the run. But he wasn't in on a lot of plays. I don't know what it was, but his snap count seemed limited. So I don't know if he was injured or they were nursing something. But he still had a very productive game, even though it seemed like he had limited snaps. And let's talk about another productive player, and it's DB Minka Fitzpatrick. And an honorable mention is Eric Rowe, the other safety. Um, but Mika's back for this game, five solo tackles, five assisted, zero sacks, zero interceptions. And it was really nice to have him back in this game for this Buffalo game because he's a real game changer. He can be. His anticipation skills were great in this game. He was trying to do what he could in a hostile environment. He had a very productive game in the tackling department, and he actually, um, was trying to tip balls and trying to get active and try to pick off some passes, but nothing resulted for him. And the other guy I wanted to highlight is the linebacker Marquise Golden, and they had no TJ Watt for this game, the Steelers. So without your number one pass rusher, it is really hard for the Steelers defense to generate a lot of pressure. And Marquise Golden comes in as the replacement for TJ Watt, and he has two solo tackles, one assisted, one sack. So he does get a sack in this game. And, although it doesn't really amount to much, he did play good. He played good for what he was brought in to do, and that was to try and generate some pass rush. But my final thoughts on the game, congratulations to the Buffalo Bills on going to the divisional round. You guys will now face the Kansas City Chiefs at home, and that should be a fun one because whenever you guys face each other, it's always an interesting contest. Josh Allen was a big difference maker, putting the whole team on his back and playing like the superstar we know he can be. It's really nice to see Josh Allen pull out all the stops. For the Steelers, that was actually a really good effort. From you guys scoring 17 points without your best pass rusher in TJ Watt and with a third string QB in Mason Rudolph, leading you guys and in a hostile environment like Buffalo, it's always hard to come and play. So, it's very impressive that you guys were able to really show up and, even in a blowout like a 31-17, you guys, with the amount of stuff that you guys have gone through, didn't do all that bad. It could have been a lot worse for you guys on the field. It was just some self-inflicted interceptions and turnovers that kind of did you in. Plus, the high powered offense of the Buffalo Bills is a really hard team to stop in the playoffs. Anyways, that is it for this wild card weekend game recap for game number 5. And, you know, it's getting to that time. One more game left to recap, and we move on to the divisional. Anyways, hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll be ready for the divisional on Saturday. And I will be recapping those games as well. So don't go away. And if you would like to see that content, please consider subscribing. Please consider leaving a like if you like this video. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.